Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Florida Center for Inclusive Communities Employment Webinar Series. I am Denise Barnes, and I'll be your host and your moderator this evening. We are located at the University of South Florida, College of Behavioral and Community Sciences, Department of Child and Family Studies in Tampa, Florida. We believe in full inclusion for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Thank you for joining us as we present tonight's broadcast, which will focus on finding success, tips for a successful outcome. Before we get into our thing, I want to ask a couple poll questions from the group. And so the first poll is going to be launched, and I need you to answer each of those questions. There are 3 of them. 2 of them, yeah, 3 of them. Can you guys see the poll? Okay, we got people starting. Thank you. Is North Florida different than the Panhandle? If it is, I apologize. Someone said they can't hear anything. You may have to turn the volume up on your computer. You can hear now? Great. I'm turning my volume up so that way you can hear me. Okay, we've had 14 out of 21 people, out of 20 people. I need you other 6 people to fill in. I'm going to end this poll in about 30 seconds. Thank you for answering those who did. And so as we can see, most of you are from multiple areas, but the highest is the Panhandle or North Florida. And many of you have seen some of our webinars before. That's pretty cool. We've even had some people who were watching before I started. And most of you are waiver support coordinators. Thank you for sharing that. I need to download those results. Zoom is making me log in again, even though I'm already logged in to get those results. Okay, so I have one more poll. Are you hosting a watch party? If you are, please name those who are viewing this webinar with you tonight so we can be sure that everyone gets credit. And I know our audience tonight is interested in resources for the hearing impaired. They are also interested in ideas for supporting individuals to get employment, to find out how to register to participate in training related to support and employment, transportation barriers, bullying in the workplace. And we even have one person who wanted a list of employers currently hiring in Hillsborough and Pasco counties. I will try to answer those separately outside of this. And certificates will be offered for those who complete the survey. And the details for that survey will be provided at the end of this webinar. And so tonight, I'd like to introduce to some. Sorry about this. Our speaker for the evening, and she is none other than Miss Wendy Vance. Now, Wendy is the founder of Duckworth Consulting, and she's worked in the disability field for over 16 years. She even worked as a vocational rehabilitation counselor for 8 years, and she was a supervisor for 3. She recently completed the DD Council Leadership Program, and I am pleased to present to you this evening Wendy Vance, who will be talking about finding success, tips for a successful employment outcome.
Good evening, everybody. I am going to, I know that Denise has the PowerPoint here, but I'm going to share my screen. So give me just 1 second. And I'm going to take off my magnification for you guys because I don't want to make y'all seasick. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see any of your questions. So, you know, if somebody raises their hand, Denise, if you could, you know, let me know, and or, you know, we have a Q&A part at the end. So we can always do that. So, as Denise said, my name is Wendy Vance, and some of you may know me from different capacities and different places that I have worked. So what I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about is success and finding success as a person with a disability. And I should preface all this with, not only have I worked in the disability industry, you know, for 16 years, I have my master's degree is in rehabilitation counseling, and I've been a rehabilitation counselor. I've also worked as an advocate through Disability Rights Florida, and that may be where some of you know me through, and some of you may have seen me on this program before. So I kind of come to the table with a little bit of experience. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight is going to be a blend between research-based data and experiential information. And y'all, please forgive me for my big old lab that's barking. So what I do want to start off the evening with, and I will warn you guys, there's a couple of different audio clips that I'm going to play for y'all through this presentation. So you might want to turn your volumes down a little bit because some of the music is a little loud, but each piece has a particular point that I'm wanting to make to you guys, because it's kind of like I told Denise earlier today, sometimes when you don't necessarily have the words, there is a piece of music which appeals to that. And so what I want you guys to do is, even though this music is kind of loud and maybe not what you typically listen to, what I want you to do is focus on the words, because I'm going to bring us back to the words that are being spoken in this little audio clip in just a minute, because it sets the stage for what we're going to talk about tonight, and as far as finding success. And this is just, like I said, they're each like little short clips. So it won't last long, I promise.
Did you click share sound?
Okay, so I hope that you guys kind of were able to hear some of it, but here's the point that I wanted to make from this piece of music.
Wendy,
And yeah,
we were not able to hear the sound. Make sure
you,
click those three dots and make sure you have share sound clicked.
okay. I'm looking at the three dots. I'm sorry, guys. Aha.
Or
There we go. I got it. It was just, it's hard to see without my magnification, but I got it. Let me see if y'all can hear it this time. Okay, so I hope that you guys were able to hear it this time around. Now that I got that all straightened out, thank you, Denise. So, but what I wanted to get you guys to get from that is something specific that was in this particular song. And in case you could not understand the lyrics, because I get it, the guitars are kind of heavy in it. All right, it says, "Forget the fear. It's just a crutch that tries to hold you back and turn your dreams to dust. All you need to do is just trust." Okay, so here's the thing that I want you to get from that. And there's another piece of it in just a second, but we all have dreams. We all have goals. We all have things that we're trying to accomplish. But unfortunately, there are going to be these things in life which are going to come against us and which are going to take those dreams. And part of that is going to be fear. And it is going to hold us back. And that can turn those dreams into dust, right? So that can turn our success into dust. So, first of all, I want you to embrace the fact that you have to let go of fear. Secondly, another thing that was in the chorus of this song is it says, "Now I am unbreakable. It's unmistakable. No one can touch me and nothing can stop me." And that is what we as people with disabilities have to embrace and have to know. We can bend, but we cannot break. Because here's the thing, and this is going to come from me as an experiential truth. There are elements, people, things in this world which will seek to break you. They will seek to tear you down. And there are going to be many times as a person with a disability in this life that you are going to hear the word no. There are going to be doors that are going to be slammed in your face. And what I want to talk to you tonight about, though, is despite all of that, despite slamming doors, despite the word no, finding success inside of that, becoming unbreakable. So, what to move on to our next slide here. So, I want to tell you a little bit about a dog with disability consulting first, because I'm quite sure that most of you have probably not heard about Dogwood Disability Consulting, because this is a new company. It was established in 2022, but I do not want you to take the newness of this company as an idea that we do not have experience to do, what needs to be done for people with disabilities. So Primarily, I'm the primary staff at Dogwood Disability Consulting because obviously being new, um, we're just getting started, so we don't have a lot of staff. But I do have another staff person who mainly handles technology, but he's also involved in some other elements of things that I do through Dogwood Disability Consulting. But I do bring 16 of our 36 years to the table, and he brings 20 years of technology experience to the table. And I do bring experience from vocational rehabilitation, from advocacy, and like I said, I have a lifetime, and I'm not going to share that number of experience as a person with a disability to this equation and what I bring. And yes, this is a for-profit corporation because unfortunately, like everybody else, the bills have to be paid, the lights have to be kept on, and the mortgage has to be paid so that there's an office for me to provide services from. So unfortunately, as much as I would like to provide the services for free, I can't quite do that because nobody's going to provide lights or paper or computer to me for free. So we are headquartered in Tallahassee, but all the services that we provide will be provided statewide. And even if I cannot be there in person, I am committed to be there virtually. So like I said, we will travel, however, if needed to provide services in person, and we continue to upgrade our menu of services. We are hoping to be adding vocational evaluation to our menu really soon. So as far as our mission and vision, our mission is to empower people with disabilities to achieve education and employment success and to reduce stigma associated with disabilities. Our tagline or motto, whatever you want to call it, for Dogwood Disability Consulting is that we want to change the way the world sees disabilities. And I mean that from the depth of my heart, not just for other people with disabilities. Obviously, I have a stake in that too, but I just want to see how people perceive disability to be changed, because whether we like it or not, there remains a lot of stigma associated with disability, especially certain disabilities, and I want to see that go away. um, the vision that we have at Dogwood Disability to increase gainful integrated employment of choice for people of all ability levels, because I believe whoever you are, you have something valuable to contribute to this world as a human being. So I want to see you having that opportunity. The services that we are currently providing, and as I noted, we are going to be adding to this menu. I'm currently a candidate for vocational evaluator certification, and that should be available to me in October. And then we will be providing vocational evaluation services through vocational rehabilitation and Division of Blind Services at that time. But right now, until I receive that certification finalized, we can't provide that. But for now, we are providing some K-12 advocacy services. I will tell you that if it is something that we cannot tackle, we're going to refer you to somewhere like Disability Rights Florida or another advocacy organization. I do provide advocacy, but I do not provide legal services. I am not a lawyer, do not claim to be a lawyer. So if you need a lawyer, I'm more than happy to refer you to where you can get those services. But I will do an IEP or 504 review for you. And I'm going to tell you anything and everything that is wrong, right, or indifferent about that IEP or 504 and give you a pretty report that tells you what I think your issues are here. And I did do education advocacy, in case I did not bring that up before, so you know where I get my expertise in this. I can provide you technical support during IEP and 504 meetings. Advocacy needed to get evaluations and to, if it's proven that you need an IEP or 504 through those evaluations or other reviews, then of course, advocating for that. Transition assistance services. I know sometimes it gets kind of overwhelming figuring out what services your child needs after transition from high school. And sometimes it's hard to find that person that can just sit down with you and plan all that out and fill out all those applications and kind of knowing when you should fill it out, since there are programs with a lot of wait lists and things like that. So that's a service that I can provide. Disability, accessibility, and inclusion trainings. This is more of a small business service, small to medium business, because one of my goals is to help employers and businesses to understand how to better include individuals with disabilities, not just as customers, not just taking money from us, but also hiring us and making us a part of their business communities. Captioning services. This is again for really small to medium businesses and probably more small businesses who are doing like YouTube videos or things like that and may need some assistance captioning those so that, a wider audience can have access to that information. I know that there are plenty of auto-generated captions, but as we all know, those aren't always 100% spot on. Assistive technology trainings. This is specific to blindness, as is the JAWS scripting, which is also another more small to medium business type service. And it's really meant to be short-term, small jobs. We can't do like large scripting jobs. So if you need a whole database scripted, we are not the ones. And I will be happy to find you somebody who can. Like I said, I'm not gonna take your money if I can't do the work. We also provide a community resource page on our website. This is a small but growing list of resources available in the state, and this will cover anything from faith-based organizations to state-run organizations to anything. I do not discriminate on that score. And then I do offer a blog, which is updated usually monthly, and hopefully soon as things wind down with my certification class, I'll be able to provide more articles. These are uplifting, sometimes motivational, sometimes they're informational and give you information and tips and clues on having a better employment outcome and things that you can do. So if you want to give that a try and check that out on our website, and I'm going to give you our website at the end of this presentation so you can check that out. But let's get into the meat of the matter of why you're here tonight. But I did want to share a little bit about me and my organization so that you would know the world was talking to you tonight, right? So what we're going to cover is what is success, who defines success, what is informed choice, what roles does failure play in success, and what role does expectations play in success, and tips to achieve success. So what is success? And this is a point where I have a poll for you guys. Do I need to unshare for you to be able to share that, Denise?
No, ma'am.
All right. So if y'all could just take that poll real quick. How do you define success?
It says what makes you think someone is successful.
Well, yeah.
A big house, money, expensive car, power, celebrity status, or other, and you can enter your thoughts in the chat box. Julie says being happy with their life.
I like that answer.
So we've had 11 out of 26, 12. Okay, they're starting to participate.
Okay.
We're up to 13, 14. And Mara says that success is living well and happy.
I like that too.
Carolyn Cruz says able to pay your bills and be happy.
Okay. All right. So you want to do maybe 30 more seconds on the poll?
Yep. And Joanna says the ability to be at peace with your life and knowing you're making a change. Susan says being happy. Disu Kumbo says doing what needs to be done and be happy. And Angela says achieving goals.
Okay. So I can't see all the numbers on the poll, but I can see that the blue line on other looks bigger than any of the other lines. Although money, it looks like it's coming in second. Like I said, I can't see the percentages, but you know, thank you guys for participating. So, and as you can see, I put and if you can't, I'm going to describe them real quick. I put some graphics on this slide to kind of represent what is usually the overarching definition of success really in our country. Like in the upper left hand corner is the picture of a home. It looks like your typical suburban house, garage, manicured lawn, all that kind of stuff. Then in the bottom left is this photo of this really like hot to trot sports car. It looks like it could be kind of pricey. And then off to the right, kind of in the middle of the screen, is like this photo of this big pile of cash, because a lot of times we think about money. So, but what is success? How is that defined? And you guys had a lot of good answers in your other category about defining success. But according to Merriam-Webster, success is really they give it a simple definition of being a favorable or desired outcome. So basically, kind of reaching your goal. And then other experts, though, talk a lot about something that we hear a lot about here in America, the American dream, and the American dream a lot of times encompasses these pictures that I have here. And we're all kind of, most of us anyway, told from the time we're knee high to grasshoppers, right, that you can achieve the American dream if you just work hard, you have determination, and you have initiative. And all those are really important and components of success, but there are other components that go into making someone successful, especially when they have a disability. But I did want to share with you a little comparison of a more national and or worldwide survey of individuals about what was success, or what made them feel that they were successful. And this one was done in 2018. And so although it is a little dated and slightly before the pandemic, I still think it has some relevance, even though a little bit of the information may have changed since then. But in this particular survey, and this one was done by the World Economic Forum, and like I said, it was 2018, the top three ways that people said that they knew they had made it was they never have to worry about medical bills. They're able to loan money to family and friends, and they're able to donate a significant amount of money to charity. And so those, like I said, were the top three. But then there were some other indicators of how people said that they thought that they had made it. And these, again, were workers that were surveyed, and there were about 2,000 people involved in this survey. 46% of the workers that were surveyed said they had achieved success because they could work from home. And so, like I said, that may have changed just slightly since the start of the pandemic. But at that time, working from home was still a big deal at 46%. 36% says they feel like they've made it if they achieve 5.3 weeks of time off. Now, this particular survey said that there was, of course, a wide gap in this because the average worker has about 2.8 weeks that are off. So I don't know where these people are working. They get the 5 weeks off, but I would say sign me up for that. And then, so 44% of those surveyed said that they would feel like they had made it if they only had to work 31 hours a week, whereas the average person works about 34 hours a week. 47% said that they feel that they have made it because they have an advanced degree. So higher education made people feel successful. And the one that I thought was kind of interesting was the pay amount that people said that they needed in order to feel successful. And it was getting close to around 150K, but the exact number they gave was kind of odd. It was $147,104 a year was the mark of attaining success. And this actually was found to be the area in which there was the most gap between what people said that they wanted and would make them feel successful and what they actually received. So there was a 67% reading of a gap where people said, this is what I want, but I don't have. And so that the average worker, and again, these are averages, not saying this is what everybody makes, was around 57,000 with this particular group of surveyed people, which was quite a distance from what they said they wanted to make to feel successful and what they did make. So success is obviously defined in a lot of different ways. Okay, so who defines success? This is another thing that we need to explore so we can figure out who is it that defines success for us. And we're going to find that there's a lot of different people in our lives who define success. And it really starts for most of us when we're itty bitties. If you can remember back to when you were little, I think you'll probably see that your parents or your guardians, mom and dad, had markers of success for you. Think about it. Did they have certain grades that you had to make? It was a marker of success. This is how they considered you successful. Or this is one that I think probably all kiddos hate. We'll go clean your room. Well, there was a certain standard, a marker of success that your parents had. And perhaps, like you thought it was successful if all the things were off of your floor and all under your bed. But mom and dad said, no, that is not what I mean when I say clean your room. You have not been successful because you put everything under your bed, right? So you start out in life with people having markers of success for you. Maybe teachers have markers of success. Maybe they say, hey, you're going to be reading at the third grade level by the time you're done with second grade. Or maybe as a person with a disability, you have an IEP plan and that has goals on it or markers of success. You will be considered successful if you can do XYZ thing by the end of the first 9 weeks with 80% accuracy. It's a marker of success. Did you make this marker? Did you reach this milestone? So it's a kind of success. Again, coaches have success markers for their teams. How many balls did you catch? How many laps did you run? Whatever else it is that you do in sports, because I am not a sports fan, y'all. But coaches set up definitions of success for us. If you have a VR counselor, you have a goal, you have a marker of success to find employment. And of course, that's a goal that you should be working on with your counselor. But the point is, your VR counselor has that goal for you because somebody else has a goal for them to get a certain number of successful closures to get, and the successful closure is somebody who has gone to work. Your boss or your employer is going to have a marker of success for you. For all of you who are working, you probably have to deal with that pesky evaluation every year. And every one of those evaluations have markers of success. Did you reach a specific goal or something that you were supposed to do, a certain percentage of calls taken or whatever else? And now to the big one, the one that I think for me personally, in my opinion, is the most important on this list would be you, the person with the disability. You have your own conception, your own marker of what is success for you. And only you really know what that is. And no matter what anyone else has set up for you to be a marker of success or a goal for you, you have your own goals. And so let's say, for instance, any one of these bars were set super low. Well, you as a person with a disability do not have to accept that. You can excel beyond that. And what I want you to walk away from today, and I'm probably going to beat this dead horse, is that as a person with a disability, your destination is not defined by other individuals' low expectations. Let that sink in for a minute. Your destination, where you end up in this life, is not defined by other people's low expectations for you. Okay. Because you define success for you. You say what that is. And even if no one else believes in you, you can believe in you and achieve that. And so we're going to talk some more about that. Okay. So another element of success is choice. Wait, choice. There's something missing here. Ah, there it is. Informed choice. And here is why informed choice is so important. You can make any number of choices. You can have A and you can have B, and you can say, I want A. That is a choice. Or you can have a ham sandwich or a tuna sandwich, right? That's a choice. But in the second choice, you have a little bit more information. You know that A is a ham and B is a tuna. So you have some information. An informed choice is simply that. It is making a choice based on information and data. And when it comes to employment, basically, informed choice is a concept that is really enshrined or encapsulated in the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 as amended, which is now part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA. As a matter of fact, the term informed choice is mentioned from just my brief cursory search 22 times within the act. And so I find that significant. And every time it talks about basically VR having the responsibility, or the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, or here in Florida, we have two agencies. So we also have Division of Blind Services, which also does the same thing. So basically, they are to help you as a person with a disability to gather that information that you need to make an informed choice. And that can be done through a number of vehicles, evaluations, looking at your work history, looking at transferable skills analysis, looking at the job market where you are, looking at your interests, your aptitudes. There's a lot of different things that get collected to help you make a choice about what is going to be right for you. And again, encapsulated in all of that is your interests and your desires, right? So informed choice, there is another big component of it, because as you guys talked about, being successful has in part to do with that feeling of being satisfied. And in part, to be satisfied, you have to be a part of the process and have your voice heard. Okay. So now this is probably going to be where you're like, she has gone off the rails. What in the world does failure have to do with success? Because, most of us think of failure as being the complete opposite, the complete antithesis of success. If we have failed, we have not succeeded. And so for most of us, failure completely does not play into the equation of success. And we try to run as far afield from failure as we can possibly get, right? But what I want to talk to you about tonight is how failure has a component in success and can make us get to success a little bit better. And here's how. So I want to start with, first of all, when we fail, we learn what doesn't work, right? And so Thomas Edison had famously said that I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that didn't work. And let me kind of expound on that for a second. Okay. If Thomas Edison had not tried the 10,001st filament to make that light bulb work, we might still be sitting in the dark today. Now, granted, somebody else would have probably found it, but the point here is that he kept trying, and that's going to be another element that we're going to get to in a minute. He found the things that didn't work, and he didn't say, oh, well, that didn't work, so I must stop, because there obviously is no route to this success. There is still a route. You just haven't found the right path yet. Your GPS is taking you into a wrong direction, and you need to reroute it. Okay, so just because little Johnny is maybe sitting in the third grade and has not yet learned to read, that doesn't mean that little Johnny can't learn to read. It may just, in fact, mean that we have not found the right method to teach little Johnny to read. So we need to keep trying until we find that. Now, there are instances where people physically cannot do some certain things, and maybe we need to do some different things, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about in the instance where the possibility exists and we just haven't found the right route yet. So, we learn what doesn't work. Fear fix. When we are afraid of failing, we often have a tendency to stay right in our comfort zone and continue grinding the gears and analyzing and saying, oh, well, this would be my measure of success, but I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try, because what if I fail? What if I fail? So fear has the capacity to hold us prisoner where we don't even try. We never make that motion towards success because we're so fearful that we are going to fail. But then once we fail and we realize that it happened, and you know what? The sky didn't fall down and the earth didn't blow up. So it's okay. It's okay to fail. And so I will give you just a really quick story on this. I had to learn this for myself, and it took me a long time to come out and finally decide that I was going to start my new company. I had been saying for years I wanted to go out on my own. As a matter of fact, being an entrepreneur was something I dreamed about from the time I was a little bitty thing. Now, granted, this is not what I had dreamed I was going to be doing, but just that, I was going to be owning my own business. So Dog with Disability is actually my second attempt at getting this thing roaring and going this year. But I learned that just because the first time sort of didn't go well, um, it was okay. I didn't die. I'm not homeless, and my bills are still paid, and things are, still doing what they need to do. So things did not, um, you know, completely dissolve, which of course was my fear. What if I fall on my face? What happens? But and I'm going to talk some more about, what do you do after a failure in a minute. But my point is that, it holds you back because you're so afraid of what happens. And then when you finally get to it and you're like, wow, okay, well, that happened. I'm still breathing. And it's okay. So it allows you to be able to engage a little bit more because you're no longer afraid. The worst has now happened. Okay. Check your ego at the door. Sometimes when we succeed and succeed and succeed and we never fall on our face, our head gets like 10 times bigger and we just think that we just know everything. And it is the enemy of humility. And I want you to think for just a moment about the worst boss you have ever had. Ask yourself, was that person humble, or did they think that they knew everything and treated everyone around them like they were a bug that was meant to be stepped on and squished? Did they take credit for everything that you did and make every idea theirs? You have probably described the least humble person that you know. Okay. But people value humility. And failure creates in people a spirit of humility because you realize for the first time that I don't know everything, right? So you're able to be more humble and you're able to keep yourself in check and know that, you don't know everything, which kind of leans to the next one, spurs of change. Okay. Because you have now failed, you realize that I don't know everything. Whoops. Okay. So maybe I need to fix something so that next time I succeed and I don't fail. So then you look for ways to improve yourself, whether it's going to new classes, getting new certifications, um, learning how to write something better, whatever have you. So there was a study that was done at Northwestern University, and it was in the Kellogg School of Management. And this particular study was done on scientists who had all like early in their careers turned in grant applications, and a portion of them had succeeded and got their grant applications and the other portion had failed, and some of them were not grants, some of them were writing like major papers. And they divided the scientists into two groups, the success group and the failure group. And what they found was, to me, truly fascinating. In the failure group, later in their careers, 6.1% of them had written more highly impactful papers and grant applications than the success group. And here's why. Because the failure group realized that they had failed for a reason and pursued improvement. And so the success group was like, yeah, I got it, man. I don't need any help. And so they continued to do things the same old way. And so the failure group in the end became more successful than the success group because they had taken time to make changes and to improve. Um, you learn who's got your back, Jack. And what I mean by this is you can probably figure it out. You find out who your supporters are. Because in failure, you will have people who will fall by the wayside, people who will throw it in your face and tell you, see, I told you you couldn't do it. I don't even know why you bothered to try. And you will have people that will prop you up and say, you know what? This didn't work out, but it's going to be better. And I've got your back. And I mean, some of these people may be willing to loan you money, or they may give you a place to live, or whatever it is you need. The people who support you have got your back. And this is when they show your true colors. So you know what your real network, your real support looks like when you fail. This or that. What do you really want? When we fail, sometimes we realize it is because this thing that I was going after had no part of me. It was not what I really wanted. It may have perhaps even been what somebody else wanted for me, but was not what I wanted for me. Or it was what I thought I wanted because somebody told me it's what I should want. But really, what I wanted was that thing over there. Or maybe I really wanted this thing over there, but I was so successful over here that I had no reason to go try. I may have even been miserable in this place where I was over here, but I wasn't going to leave because I was making the money or had the insurance or whatever measure. So I wasn't going to step out of my comfort zone. But in failing, I have to step out and do something different. So I discovered that what I really wanted to do was that over there, right? So I get to go in a different direction and I get to pick that which is right for me. So this or that. Um, this is one that I think is so super important, and one that I don't think that we focus on enough, especially when it comes to, and forgive me, in our school systems, um, how to behave when we experience failure. And what I mean by this is oftentimes we, and especially um, when we're talking about folks with disabilities, we set up these scenarios where there is no possibility of fail. Every choice is a success, and we want them to have success. And we talk about setting people up for success. And yes, setting people up for success is a good thing. I'm not bagging on that. But what I am saying is that sometimes we absolutely need to let people fall on their face. People should have the right to fail. And here's why. because in failing, you learn how to behave. If all you ever have is success, like I said, your head gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you've succeeded at everything and you never learn the appropriate way to fail. Because sometimes when people fail, they lose their cool and they might turn over a table or slap somebody in the head with a water bottle or scream or have a tantrum, all of which are completely inappropriate ways to fail, and all of which are ways that could potentially cause you to lose a job someday. So we have to learn to fail gracefully and fail appropriately. So inside of failure, we can take this as a teachable moment to say, you know what, little Johnny, I get that you didn't get that problem right, but you know that hitting me in the face with that water bottle was not really an appropriate way to handle that. Or however that is in that scenario, because I understand that everybody responds to different things and everybody has different ways to correct their behavior and modify that. But what I am saying is that is where we need to be spending some time and focusing, because I have seen some people, and this is both with disabilities and without, fail very, very badly. And so it's important that we learn to fail appropriately. All right. Um, and again, there's going to be another music clip with this one in just a second, but resilience. We learn resilience. We learn what I was talking about from the beginning. We learn how to bend without breaking and how to get back up again after we fail, because that is the important part. It is not that we failed, it is how we get up. And do we try again, or do we let this experience completely break us? Right. So, like I said, I'm going to give you just a quick music clip here. And some of you will know this song. And if you feel like dancing, go ahead. Okay. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. For everybody with a disability that happens to be on this call, or if you work with people with disabilities, make this your mantra. I get knocked down, but I get up again, and you're never going to keep me down. And I had another song that I was going to put in here, but I decided it might be a little too loud and wild for you guys, but wasn't sure. But the point is here, that's what you do. You don't stay down. You get up and you keep trying. That's resilience. That's not letting it break you. Do not let it break you. Oops. All right. So we move from failure, because I know that's not a comfortable topic, to expectations. What is the role that our expectations play in whether or not somebody is successful? And there's a lot of importance that goes into the expectations that we not only have, but that we vocalize, especially when it comes for people with disabilities, because there's so much negativity that is out there. If the people around us can elevate us, then that can help us. And secondly, as most of you know, unfortunately, the bar for people with disabilities is often set really low. And I'm not saying all, but people in general have a tendency to reach for that lowest branch, the low hanging fruit. What is that lowest bar? And that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to stop because I have made you happy and rah rah. But sometimes we need that bar to be a little bit higher so that we can actually achieve life-sustaining self-sufficiency success. And I want to give you a little bit of statistics on this because I found this really super fascinating. You increase the odds of successful employment when you have these higher expectations and when people around you voices for you. So there were studies that, and I have all this stuff in my references too, so you guys can read these studies for yourselves. But there were studies that were conducted in both 2005 and 2012, and they looked at families who expressed some positive expectations for their children. And one of them was that they expected and they communicated. So it's important you expect it and you communicate it. that their child would definitely be employed, had a 5 times greater odds of being employed after high school. And then you have also not only just the increased odds of being employed, but the increased odds of maintaining employment. So, this same 2005 study looked at families who expressed to their student that I expect you to be self sustaining at some point in your life. Mom and dad looked at little Johnny and said, look at here. Someday you are going to pay your own light bill, your own phone bill. You're going to pay your own internet and buy your own Xbox. I'm not doing it anymore. You, sir, are going to go do that. And so parents let it be known that I expect you to, do this. And look, parents, as much as you want to be here every day until little Johnny goes on to his reward, let me stop you, because I have run into these parents time and time again. Please, and don't mean to offend you, don't mean to upset you. You, one day, probably before little Johnny, are going to get a knock on the door from the Grim Reaper, and he's coming for you to pay the bill. And there is no, I'll pay it later. Can you come see me another time? Sorry, you got to pay up. This is what's happening. And then what is going to happen if little Johnny has not become self sustaining or there isn't an effective plan in their place? And once again, not to be offensive, but a plan is not that little Johnny's brother or sister is going to take care of him. I have heard this so many times. Please stop it. A, it is not their siblings' responsibility. B, that sibling may not be in a position when it comes time for you to leave this earth to take care of their brother or sister. They may have a spouse that doesn't give two figs about their brother or sister. They may have their own health problems. They may have children of their own. They may be knee deep in debt, and they are not going to be able to do this. This is not a plan for you. A plan is to help little Johnny be as independent as possible, because in those scenarios is all too often the case that little Johnny goes into a group home or community setting that may or may not be good for him or her. I'll give you another quick example. I had a friend. Her parents did everything under the sun for her and told her that one day her sister would take care of her. Her mom got cancer. Her dad was too old to take care of her anymore. She was 45, and they moved her in with her sister for about 2 weeks. And her sister was like, I can't do this because you need too much for me. She was 45 years old, and she wound up in a nursing home with 70 and 80-year-olds. And every time I talked to her, she was crying and miserable because she was in a place that she did not want to be. And she was perfectly capable of having taken care of herself if she had taken the time to be independent. And I had tried to teach her about independence. And she's like, no, my parents are going to take care of me. My sister's going to take care of me. I don't need to learn these things. And then, like I said, she came back and she was so sad and miserable and said, I wish I had learned those things because now I would not be here. So I'm not saying this is always what happens, but it can be what happens. And that is the horror story of what happens. So communicating that I want you to be self-sufficient and have a job, those so incredibly important. And to top that off, a 2014 study that was done on this very topic showed that when these things were communicated, that I expect you to be self-sustaining, 58% were more likely to be employed 2 years after high school, and 50% or they were 50 times more likely to continue being employed 4 years after high school if this type of self-sustaining message was conveyed to the individual with a disability. And you also wind up with an increased odds for higher education when you have this type of communication, that there's the expectation of employment and a self-sustaining type of mindset. And so in that case, you had individuals in this study being 28 times more likely to be enrolled in college 2 years after high school when these type of messages were conveyed. And then you have increased odds of life satisfaction. And in this study, it was found that individuals were 6 times more likely to voice being satisfied with their life 2 to 4 years after high school when they had these opportunities to be employed and be self-sufficient and self-sustaining and having a higher education. So there's a lot about what our expectations do as to whether or not we are able to attain success and employment. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up with the last couple of slides here. Um, Tips to achieve employment. This first slide is all stuff that comes from people like Indeed, Glassdoor, Forbes, all these folks that have great recommendations for being successful. And then I'm going to give you some quick life tips for a person who has lived it. So the first one, find your purpose or your passion. Look, we are more likely to pursue, go after, work hard at things that have meaning for us, that we feel that we have a plan and a purpose for that. And I personally believe that every individual, no matter who you are, what ability level you are, there is a plan and a purpose. You were created for something special to do something here, whether it was just to bring a smile to your mom's face or if it was to be the next CEO of Amazon, I don't know, whatever. But you were brought here for a plan and a purpose, and I want you to remember that and to find that. Set goals. Once you know that you have a plan and a purpose, you need to set a goal. You need to know, what is it that I want to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or maybe just 1 year from now. Hey, I just want to graduate high school. Okay. So you need to set goals and you need to write those goals down. And then when you have those goals written down, you need to take action steps, make a list of action steps. And one of those actions or something on that list should probably be to have an accountability partner, somebody to keep you on track and remind you of what your goals are and set you straight so that when you go off over here, they can rein you back in and say, wait, 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 come back over here to the middle. But then take those action steps and maybe check those off as you go along. Do you need to go to college? Do you maybe need to pass a certain class? Do you need to take a certain test? What is it that you need to do that is going to get you to that goal or your success? Because remember, Merriam-Webster says success is a favorable outcome. So we're trying to get to that favorable outcome, get to our goal. Remove distractions. Get those things out of your way, which are causing you to be distracted from your goal or from your success, whether that's your cell phone, whether it's a video game, whether it's a person, the TV, whatever. Put those away. I mean, maybe speak to that person once a week if they're like keeping you on the phone all hours of the day. Put your phone away. Even I know it's hard, especially with all these programs making even more reasons for us to stay on, right? But put away your distractions because they take you away from your goal and further away from your success. Be persistent. This is something I've kind of talked a little bit about sprinkling throughout this. Keep going. Even when you fall down, even when things are hard, push forward, keep going because eventually you're going to get there. But if you stop, then, you lose right out of the gate, right? Be positive. Like try to turn, like I said, turn the failures around. What did I learn from it? How can I grow and how can I make myself better? Try to have some fun. Celebrate your small victories. Maybe if you got an A on that test, have a great meal or get an ice cream or whatever it is you do to reward yourself, but have a little fun. And also try to take on the fun tasks that you enjoy from time to time instead of slogging through all the hard stuff. Break it up so that you're doing something you like, a preferred task, and something that you don't like. there's all those things as we're kind of going through our lives where there are things we like and things we don't. Expect that failures will happen. Kind of like we talked about earlier. Failures are unavoidable. It's going to happen. This is the other reason why we need to teach people how to behave when failures happen, because at some point in your life, people are going to be out of artificial bubbles where all successes are set up, and then they're going to fail. Something is going to happen because we all know we have all experienced some failures, whether it was a failure of a business or a failure of a marriage or what have you, or we failed a test. We have had some point in our life when things just haven't gone our way, right? And which is a type of failure. So just expect that it's going to happen. All right. So this is kind of where I'm going to wrap it up. And this stuff is not research based. I have lived it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that and how I have experienced success personally and what things I think were important for bringing me to where I am today. First and foremost, as a person with a disability, be your own advocate. We have to be self advocates in everything that we do. Look, our parents love us, our teachers, we have lots of supporters, all these people around us who want to help us and who want to be a voice. But at the end of the day, only you know what your passions are. Only you know what your needs are. Um, and you need to speak up for that, because sometimes, even as much as somebody might want to support us, we can tell them what we want, and then they might can communicate that to somebody else, but sometimes it doesn't always come out the way that we intended, or things get kind of turned around. It's kind of like playing the telephone game or the rumors game. You whispered it in his ear, and then he whispered it in her ear, and then whatever, by the time it comes around, it is not at all what you said. So you have to learn to be your own advocate, and there's multiple ways, to do that. And even if you can't speak with a regular voice, having a communication system or something of that nature is super important so that people can speak for themselves and speak their own thoughts and their own desires. Know your rights and responsibilities. And yes, I did highlight, bold, and underline responsibilities because I think this is super important. A lot of times I feel like we get really hung up on here's what I have a right to, here's what I'm entitled to, gimme, gimme, gimme. And we forget that as citizens of America, as citizens of the world, we also have responsibilities inside of that. And we have responsibilities to be good citizens and good stewards, um, and to take care of our fellow man. And so, as much as we want to exercise our rights, we need to know what our responsibilities are, whether that's to make a certain grade so that VR will continue to sponsor us in school, or to make contact with an agency so that we're adhering to contact time frames or getting things filled out when we're supposed to. There are all kinds of responsibilities. So we need to be aware of and know what both of those are, because both of those are elements of getting to success. Right. Because sometimes our rights can be taken away or cases can be closed if we do not adhere to our responsibilities because we have not necessarily met our end of a contract or a plan. Expect there to be naysayers and bullies. It's going to happen, folks. Look, there are going to be people in your life, and this I'm speaking specifically to people with disabilities, but I mean, this can kind of apply to anybody. There are going to be people in your life who are going to say, you know what, you can't do that. Nope, it's not right for you. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. You don't have the money. You don't have this. You don't have that. And you just can't do it. And they're going to poo poo all over you. I know, look, when I first decided to go out and start this consulting business, a lot of people thought that I had just lost every bit of sense that I had in my head because I had a good job that paid well, had benefits, all of that. And they're like, how can you abandon the security of that for the insecurity of the potential of this business just going belly up? Well, there were a lot of reasons that I could and elements of things that had happened. Um, but you know, even without all that, the point is that you sometimes you got to go against the grain and you got to say, all right, I know that you said no and I know that you don't believe in me, but I believe in me, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do this despite the fact that you said that I couldn't. And my personal opinion, and this is what I have done throughout my life, is anytime somebody comes against me and says, no, you can't do that because of your disability, or you don't have this or that or the other, I've said, hey, you know what? You just stand right back and you watch me. And please eat my dust when I'm on the other side of this racetrack, because I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it in spite of that. And you use their negativity for fuel. And I know it's hard because, like I said, we need people to have high expectations for us, but we also need to have high expectations for ourselves and just say, you know what, you can be negative all you want to, but I'm going to keep on running. See if you can keep up with me. So just expect it. There's going to be people that are going to say no and slam doors in your face. All right. So this one is another place where I'm going to play you guys a little clip of music, but I want you to understand. Turn what was meant for evil to your victory. And this is what I am saying about, people try to put barriers in your way, artificial things to break you, to knock you down. Don't let it be so. Turn what they meant to be bad, keeping you and holding you down, into something good. So let me play this little piece of music for you here.
Come on! You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good.
So what I would say to you is let that be an anthem for you. What the enemy, whoever that is, meant for you as evil, turn it for good. And you will see a victory. You will see success when you do not let the barriers or the naysayers or the bullies get in your way and put up artificial things that don't have to be in your way. Turn it to your good. Hard work. Oh, I know this is one we don't want to hear, but success is hard work. It is not going to come to you. It is not going to be handed to you on a silver platter, and you have to put in the work. And as much as I hate to say it, because I hate this as a phrase and I hate that it is a truth in the world that we live in, but as people with disabilities, we do have to work harder than even our non-disabled counterparts, because we are going to be held to, I won't say a higher standard, but we are held to some standards which are at times not fair. And, I always remember my mom always told me, you cannot be just as good as your non-disabled peers. You must be better. And it drove me to work harder. And whether that is fair or not, and I don't think it's fair, I do kind of think it is an ableist mentality. It is unfortunately the world in which I find myself in which I find myself slogging through. So I'm going to tell you, work hard, because you must in order to achieve. And this kind of goes back to the other one. I totally agree with it. Celebrate your accomplishments, but stay humble. Don't get a big head about it, y'all. look, you can be happy about what you've done. Look, I will tell you, I am so happy because my very first book is coming out next month, and I have worked hard, and I'm super happy and super proud of the fact that I'm going to have my first book published and everything. So, I mean, that's a dream of my heart. It is a desire that I've had for a super long time, and I'm in the midst of working on another one that I hope to have out by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But, I'm not going to be like, "Ooh, look at me, published author," or anything, whatever, because I consider it a gift that I was given, that I'm able to write and I'm able to put words to paper. And it is a blessing. And I hope that I can bless others um, through the words that I'm able to write and to pen. But I'm still super happy about that. And believe me, that the day that my book appears on Amazon, there is going to be a big old fat steak on my plate, possibly with a candle in it. I don't know, but super excited about that. So, what I'm saying is celebrate those accomplishments, but try to remain humble inside of that, um, you know, because that's just super important. And last but not least, as I said, be willing to take risks. Sometimes, you just got to do it. Look, you can really want to go skydiving, and you can go up in the plane, and you can have that parachute pack on, and you can stand at the door, but that's still not meeting your goal. It's still not skydiving until you take the leap out of the plane, and then there's no turning back, and all you can do is pull the cord on that chute and enjoy the ride down. So, be willing to take risks. Put the chute on, and there's the door to the plane. Go ahead and jump out, because you never know what you're going to miss if you don't take that opportunity to take that leap of faith. All right, guys, lay it on me. Questions and comments. I'm ready.
Well, if no one else is going to say anything, Wendy, I want to thank you for enthusiastically sharing why we should allow the people that we serve to experience and understand the role of failure, modifying supports until something works for that person, pursuing passions and purposes to pursue life lessons that lead to success, and that success means something different to everyone. Thank you for sharing that. And reminding us that we need to raise our expectations for ourselves and the people that we serve. And then we, as well as people we serve, should use the naysayers, bullies, and failures as steps to success. And kudos for starting your own company, as well as your book that's soon going to be released. Now, someone has asked for your website. I'll put your website in the chat, and they want the name of your book as well.
Yes. Okay. Well, so guys, here is all my contact information. So it's Dogwood Disability Consulting, and then this is my address. But you really, if you want to send me snail mail, great. But email is perfect. My email is wendy@dogwooddisability.com, and the website is dogwooddisability.com. So www.dogwooddisability.com. And that is where you can find the resource page. Like I said, it's kind of under construction, so it's really small right now. But we'll be expanding. Like I said, I got to get past all this classwork. And then there is the blog that is there. And as far as my book, it is called Finding Light. And again, like I said, it's going to be available on Amazon. It will be most likely next month, just kind of waiting for some bureaucracy processes to happen. And we all know that the wheels of bureaucracy turn super quickly. I meant slowly. So so it will be available then. And of course, I will put out an announcement on the website and on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page if you want to join us. And we have a YouTube channel in which we have a YouTube series called Deconstructed. And Deconstructed is a YouTube series where we explore various issues related to disability and really kind of take myths and ideas and concern, and we sort of turn them on their ear and kind of help you to think a little bit differently about disability issues. And our first episode really more or less explores what dogwood disability is, and explores a couple of things about employment, and things of that nature. So that episode is already up if you want to check it out. Okay, well, that's kind of it. That's our contact information in a nutshell. But and you can get to our Facebook, our LinkedIn, and our YouTube from the website. All right, anything else? If you think of questions later, please feel free to email me. That's perfectly fine. Or like I said, you can leave me a comment on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I will definitely answer it. I try to answer everything within 24 hours, but like I said, with only a couple of us logging away and mostly me, it may take me a little bit more time, but I really do try.
Thank you very, very much, Wendy. Let me get to your, thank you. Just a few more slides. The FCIC webinar schedule, employment webinar schedule is up on the website, and it's constantly being updated. Make sure you check those out. And next month on September 20th, we'll return to our regular time, which is 4:30 to 6 p.m. And we will hear from Allison Fogarty, and she is an entrepreneur who started a business called Doggy Delights. And you will really enjoy her presentation. She is just a joy to speak with and learn from. So thank you. Please register for those. The registration link should be on the website. If not, it'll be going out to you very soon. And I also put the PDF into the chat. So a lot of the links are working in there, but they're also on our website as well. And if you want to receive a certificate for today's presentation, you will need to complete a survey. The registration email that you use and the email that you use in the survey must match in order to get your certificate of completion. Because if I can't confirm your attendance, I can't confirm that your survey was valued. So I am going to put the link for the survey into the chat for those who are not able to access it via the QR code. Okay.
Thank you guys for coming and paying attention and listening to me talk for all this time. I do appreciate it. And I hope that y'all found it helpful. And I look forward to hearing from any one of you guys. And just again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're interested in presenting for FCIC Employment Webinar Series, you can reach out to me. I can also give you the link to fill out the online form, or if you know of someone that you think would be a great speaker for our webinar series, our Lunch and Learn series, and or the Talent Actualize Conference that will be held in 2023, please let me know. And I hope that you guys all enjoy your evenings. I hope that you will continue pursuing and promoting full inclusion for all individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and live your life to the fullest. Take care. Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Please visit our website for more information about our programs, projects, and how you can get involved.